What early pioneers ate to survive the Old West. Ever wonder what it took to survive on the wild frontier? Forget fancy restaurants and grocery stores. Pioneers had to get creative with their cooking. From strange pies to unexpected meat dishes, their culinary ingenuity was key to their survival. Join us as we explore the bizarre and fascinating world of Old West cuisine. But be warned, some of these dishes might make your stomach churn. Subscribe to Who Remember, and let us know in the comments what other food history mysteries you'd like us to explore. Alright folks, gather round for a tasty tale from the Old West. Imagine you're sitting by the campfire and cookie hollers, grubs up, but instead of a steaming plate, you get wiggly dessert. That's right, we're talking about calf's foot jelly, the pioneer's answer to Jell-O before Jell-O was even a twinkle in its inventor's eye. Now, don't go thinking this is some newfangled concoction. Our resourceful ancestors whipped this up way back when, using what they had on hand. Picture this: you take some eggs, squeeze in some zesty lemon, sprinkle in sugar and spices, and here's the kicker: you boil up some calf's feet to get that all-important gelatin. Mix it all together once it's cooled, and bam! You've got yourself a genuine frontier delicacy. Some fancy pants cooks even jazzed it up with white wine, extra seasonings, and fluffy egg whites. Heck, one Virginia recipe book suggests throwing in crushed eggshells. Waste not, want not, I reckon. But if you want the real deal, look no further than Mrs. J. Chadwick's 1853 cookbook. She lays it out step by step, from boiling those feet to straining the mix through a flannel bag. It's a labor of love, but the pioneers didn't shy away from hard work, especially when it came to satisfying their sweet tooth. Now, this jelly treat wasn't just for those with a hankering for something sweet. Long before cowboys were roaming the range, folks were making savory versions called pizza. And believe it or not, you can still find this old-timey dish in some Jewish talis today. So next time you're slurping down some Jell-O, tip your hat to those ingenious pioneers who turned hooves into a heavenly dessert. They may not have had convenience foods, but by golly, they sure knew how to make do with what they had. Sweet potato coffee. Back in the wild days of the frontier, our pioneer pals couldn't just mosey on down to the local cafe for their morning joe. No siree, real coffee beans were about as scarce as hen's teeth out on the plains. But did that stop our resourceful ancestors from getting their daily jolt? Not on your life. These clever folks got creative, turned into all sorts of unlikely sources for their coffee fix. Now hold on to your hats, cause one of the most ingenious substitutes they cooked up was sweet potato coffee. I kid you not. These frontier baristas would take sweet potatoes, peel 'em, cook 'em, mash 'em, and dry 'em out. Then they'd shape 'em into little patties, mix in some rye flour for good measure, dry 'em again, and grind 'em up finer than prairie dust. Now, I won't lie to you, it wasn't exactly a match for your fancy triple-shot espresso, but some folks took a shine to it, especially when times were tough. There's even a recipe from 1861 in a Georgia paper that'll teach you how to stretch your coffee rations by mixing in this sweet potato concoction. Imagine that, you could brew up 8 or 9 cups of coffee with just a smidge of the real deal and a handful of ground taters. So next time you're sipping on your store-bought brew, spare a thought for those inventive pioneers. They may not have had Starbucks, but by golly, they had spirit and sweet potatoes. Who knows, maybe one day we'll see ye olde sweet potato lat on a hipster cafe menu. After all, what goes around comes around. And those frontier folks might been onto something with their root vegetable java. Roast skunk. Let's chew the fat about a critter that most folks nowadays wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole, the humble skunk. Now, before you wrinkle your nose, let me tell you that our pioneer ancestors weren't exactly picky eaters. When you're out in the wild frontier, your dinner menu is whatever Mother Nature serves up, and sometimes that includes old Pepe Le Pew himself. Believe it or not, these stinky little varmints pack a decent amount of meat on their bones. Not quite a holiday ham, mind you, but enough to fill a hungry belly. Now, here's the kicker. There's actually an old pioneer recipe book that spills the beans on how to roast these odorous critters. And let me tell you, the most important step ain't the seasoning. It's removing those pesky scent glands before you even think about firing up the oven. Once you've taken care of that little detail, throw in some carrots, and you've got yourself a genuine frontier feast. Now, I know what you're thinking. Ain't no way I'm putting that in my mouth. But hold your horses there, partner. According to a 1959 issue of Boy's Life magazine, skunk meat is surprisingly tasty, light and well-flavored, they say, and even better than possum or raccoon. Now, that might not be saying much, but it just goes to show that our ancestors knew how to make the best of what they had. So next time you're sitting down to a nice roast chicken, spare a thought for those tough-as-nails pioneers who turned even the smelliest of situations into a survivalist supper. Who knows? Maybe someday skunk a la mode will be the next big food trend. Till then, I reckon we'll stick to our beef and chicken, but let's raise a glass to the brave souls who paved the way with their adventurous palates. Cheap sorrel pie. Now, imagine you're out on the frontier, hankering for a slice of good old lemon pie. But there ain't a yellow citrus in sight. What's a resourceful settler to do? Well, let me tell you, our clever ancestors weren't about to let a little thing like a lemon shortage sour their dessert plans. They put their thinking caps on and came up with a substitution that knocked your socks off: sheep sorrel pie. Now don't go looking for any woolly creatures in this recipe. Sheep sorrel's actually a little flowering plant, kin to buckwheat, that was as common as tumbleweeds in the Old West. These crafty cooks would gather up the leaves, give 'em a good shredding, and bake 'em right into a pie crust. The result? A tart, mouth-puckering treat that fooled even the pickiest pie connoisseur into thinking they were bitten into a slice of lemony heaven. Sure, it might not have been the fancy lemon meringue you'd find at your local diner nowadays, but let me tell you, when you're out on the prairie with nothing but your wits and a sweet craving, sheep sorrel pie was like stricken culinary gold. It just goes to show that our pioneer ancestors could whip up a delicious dessert faster than you can say pass the pie tin. So next time life hands you lemons, or doesn't in this case, remember the ingenuity of those frontier folk. They turned a humble weed into a dessert worthy of any chuck wagon feast. Vinegar pie. You see, out on the frontier, fresh fruit wasn't always easy to come by. But those resourceful pioneers weren't about to let a little thing like a lack of apples stop them from enjoying a good slice of pie. They discovered that apple cider vinegar, which was usually used for medicine or cleaning, could actually be transformed into a surprisingly tasty pie filling. That's right, vinegar pie. The vinegar's tart, apple-like flavor, when mixed with sugar and spices, created a dessert that was both refreshing and satisfying. It might sound a little strange, but it was a clever way to enjoy a taste of something sweet when fresh fruit was scarce. And guess what? Vinegar pie isn't just a thing of the past. Folks still make it today, even famous cooks like Martha Stewart. Her recipe uses butter instead of the lard that pioneers likely used, but it still captures the essence of this unique frontier dessert. So, if you're looking for a pie with a unique flavor and a fascinating history, give vinegar pie a try. It's a delicious reminder of the pioneers' creativity and their ability to make something delicious out of the most unexpected ingredients. What pioneer dish surprised you the most, and would you ever be brave enough to try it? Acorn bread. Now, let's talk about a bread that's a little bit different. You see, out on the frontier, traditional flour wasn't always readily available, but those resourceful pioneers weren't about to go without their daily bread. They turned to the mighty oak tree and its humble acorns to create a unique and surprisingly nutritious bread. The idea of using acorns for flour wasn't new, but it was a lifesaver for those pioneers. Corns were plentiful in the West, and with a little bit of know-how, they could be transformed into a tasty and versatile flour. The process involved roasting the acorns to remove their natural bitterness, then grinding them into a fine meal. This acorn flour could then be used to make bread, cakes, and other baked goods. Acorn bread might not have been as light and fluffy as traditional wheat bread, but it was a hearty and nutritious alternative that kept those pioneers going. Bisirket. Ninsbeniond. Duisvinchit. It's a testament to their resourcefulness and ability to make the most of what nature provided. Bear head cheese. It's a traditional dish made from the leftover meat from the head and face of an animal, in this case a bear. In the Old West, pioneers were experts at using every part of the animal, and bear head cheese was a way to preserve and enjoy the flavorful meat from the bear's head. The process involved soaking the meat in brine, rinsing it, and then boiling it down. The cooked meat was then chopped, seasoned, and cooled in a pan or mold, sometimes with a savory gelatin called aspic added for extra texture. Bear head cheese was a valuable source of protein and nutrients for pioneer families. Bears provided a lot of meat, and making head cheese ensured that nothing went to waste. It was also a great way to preserve the meat for long journeys or lean times. While you might not find bear head cheese on your local grocery store shelves today, it's still enjoyed in some parts of the world. It's a reminder of the ingenuity and resourcefulness of the pioneers, who knew how to make the most of every part of the animal and create delicious and nutritious meals from seemingly unlikely ingredients. Mountain oysters. You might also hear them called prairie oysters or cowboy caviar, but no matter the name, they're a unique and, let's say, adventurous part of Western cuisine. Now, what exactly are mountain oysters? Well, they're not oysters at all. They're actually bull-calf testicles. Yes, you heard that right. Back in the Old West, cowboys and ranchers were resourceful and weren't afraid to try anything when it came to food. They found that these, shall we say, underappreciated parts of the bull could be quite tasty when prepared properly. Typically, mountain oysters were peeled, coated in batter, and deep fried until golden brown and crispy. This created a surprisingly flavorful and satisfying snack that became a favorite among those who dared to try it. Even today, you can find mountain oysters on menus in some parts of the West, often served as appetizers at festivals, rodeos, and even some restaurants and bars. While they might not be everyone's cup of tea, mountain oysters are a fascinating part of Western history and a testament to the pioneers' adventurous spirit. Beef tea. This was a hearty and nourishing beverage that played an important role in the lives of pioneers. Beef tea was made by boiling thin strips of salted beef in water, then straining the liquid to create a flavorful broth. It was a simple and inexpensive way to extract the goodness from beef, making it a valuable source of nutrients, especially when fresh meat was scarce. Pioneers often used beef tea as a supplement for those with weak constitutions or to stimulate appetites. It was also considered a remedy for various illnesses, providing a comforting and restorative drink for those feeling under the weather. And the best part, beef tea wasn't limited to just beef. When beef wasn't available, pioneers could substitute lamb, chicken, or even vegetables to create a similar nourishing broth. So, next time you're looking for a warm and comforting drink with a rich history, consider trying beef tea. It's a simple yet flavorful beverage that played a vital role in the lives of those who settled the West, and it might just surprise you with its versatility and health benefits. These critters were plentiful in the Old West, making them a valuable source of food for those who were brave enough to hunt them. Jackrabbits were relatively easy to catch, and their lean meat could be roasted or cooked in a variety of ways, providing a much-needed source of protein for those on the frontier. But there was a catch. Eating too much jackrabbit meat could lead to a condition known as rabbit starvation. Now, don't let the name fool you. It's not that you'd starve from eating rabbit. Instead, it's a type of protein poisoning that occurs when you consume a diet that's too high in protein and lacking in other essential nutrients. Turns out jackrabbit meat is so lean that it could cause this condition in some settlers who relied on it too heavily. They'd experience symptoms of extreme hunger, even though they were consuming enough calories. It's a fascinating example of how even a seemingly abundant food source can have its downsides if not consumed as part of a balanced diet. Despite the risks of rabbit starvation, Jackrabbits remained an important part of the pioneer diet, and their meat is still enjoyed in some parts of the world today. It's a reminder that survival in the Old West required resourcefulness, adaptability, and a good understanding of the foods available. What modern dishes do you think have surprising origins in pioneer cuisine? You see, before the days of refrigeration, fresh meat was a precious commodity on the frontier. It was difficult to transport and prone to spoiling, especially on long wagon journeys. While deer and buffalo were prized game animals, they weren't always readily available in every area. Enter the squirrel. These small, agile creatures were plentiful in many parts of the West, and they became a valuable source of fresh meat for pioneers when other options were scarce. Hunters developed ingenious methods for catching squirrels, often involving clipping the bark beneath a squirrel on a tree branch, causing it to lose its footing and fall. They would then try to shoot the squirrel without damaging too much of its meat, a testament to their skill and marksmanship. Squirrel meat might not have been as plentiful as buffalo or deer, but it provided a welcome change from the monotony of preserved meats and other staples of the pioneer diet. It's a fascinating example of how those who settled the West learned to adapt and make use of the resources available to them, even the smallest and seemingly insignificant ones. Frizzled beef and frying pan bread. Let's talk about a quick and easy snack that was a favorite among cowboys and pioneers: frizzled beef. This simple dish was a lifesaver on the trail, providing a hearty and flavorful meal with minimal ingredients and fuss. Frizzled beef was made with dried meat, cooked in a mixture of milk, butter, and flour, and served over toast. It was a surprisingly nutritious meal, especially compared to some of the other fare available at the time. And the best part, the ingredients were easy to transport, with only the milk being perishable. This made it a perfect meal for those on the move. Today, you might find modern versions of frizzled beef with added ingredients like sautéed onions or peas, served over a baked potato instead of toast. It can also be made with chipped beef and served with gravy. Our friends in the military might even recognize it as SOS or shit on a shingle, a testament to its versatility and enduring popularity. Now, let's switch gears and talk about another staple of the pioneer diet: frying pan bread or bannock. Ovens weren't exactly a common sight on the trail, so pioneers got creative and cooked their bread in a frying pan. This simple bread was made with flour, baking powder, salt, and water. Pioneers typically used whole wheat flour, resulting in a denser and more filling bread that provided sustained energy for their long journeys. Frying pan bread was a versatile and adaptable dish, perfect for life on the frontier. It could be cooked over an open fire or on a stovetop, and it could be eaten plain or with various toppings. Hardtack. This humble biscuit may not sound glamorous, but it played a vital role in the survival and success of those who ventured into the American West. Hardtack is essentially a super tough cracker made from flour, water, and sometimes a pinch of salt. Its claim to fame: incredible durability and a shelf life that could rival a Twinkie. This super biscuit was originally developed centuries ago for sailors on long sea voyages, and it quickly became a favorite of soldiers and pioneers as well. Why? Because it could survive months, even years, without spoiling, making it the perfect food for long journeys when fresh ingredients were scarce. Imagine packing your wagon for the Oregon Trail. You'd need food that wouldn't go bad after a few days under the hot sun. Hardtack was the answer. Now, let's be honest, hardtack wasn't exactly a gourmet meal. It was rock hard and practically inedible without some serious preparation. Pioneers would often soak it in coffee or water to soften it up, which also helped wash away any unwelcome critters that might have taken up residence during storage. Some folks would crumble it into soups or stews for a bit of extra heft, or even fry the softened pieces in grease for a touch of flavor. While you won't find hardtack on many dinner tables today, it's a powerful symbol of pioneer ingenuity and resilience. It reminds us of the challenges they faced and the creative ways they found to thrive in a harsh and unforgiving environment. Salted pork. Let's talk about a true workhorse of the pioneer pantry, salted pork. This humble preserved meat was a cornerstone of the diet in the Old West, providing essential sustenance during long journeys and challenging living conditions. Before the days of refrigeration, keeping meat from spoiling was a top priority, and salt was the pioneer's best friend. Salted pork was made by curing fresh pork with generous amounts of salt, which drew out moisture and created an environment where bacteria couldn't thrive. Sometimes the meat was also smoked for added flavor and preservation power. This process allowed pioneers to store pork for months, even years, without worrying about it going bad. Imagine traveling the Oregon Trail with a wagon full of salted pork. It was lightweight, easy to transport, and a reliable source of protein when fresh meat was a luxury. Salted pork could be added to stews, soups, or simply fried up for a quick and satisfying meal. It was often paired with hardtack or beans, creating a hearty and filling combination that kept those pioneers going. Now, salted pork wasn't exactly a culinary masterpiece. The high salt content could be tough on the body, and the flavor could get a bit monotonous after a while. But pioneers were resourceful and found ways to supplement their diet with fresh vegetables, wild game, or fish whenever possible. Today, while we have modern refrigeration, salted pork still holds a special place in culinary history. It's a reminder of the ingenuity and resilience of those who settled the American West, and the importance of food preservation in their survival. Imagine slicing up apples, peaches, or apricots and laying them out in the sun to dry, or perhaps using a low-heat oven to gently remove the moisture. This process not only prevented spoilage but also concentrated the fruit's natural sweetness, creating a delicious and portable snack. For pioneers traveling the Oregon Trail or settling in remote areas, dried fruits were a lifesaver. They provided essential vitamins and minerals that were often lacking in a diet heavy on preserved meats and grains. Dried fruits could be enjoyed as a quick snack, added to porridge for a touch of sweetness, or baked into pies and cakes for a special treat. Comment 1 if you enjoyed the content above. And don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications to follow our videos. Thank you. Many families recognized the importance of fresh dairy and eggs and brought along cows and chickens on their westward journeys. Imagine traveling the Oregon Trail with a cow in tow. It might seem like a lot of work, but it meant access to fresh milk, a vital source of calcium, protein, and vitamins. Milk could be enjoyed as a refreshing drink or used in cooking and baking. Pioneers also cleverly transformed milk into butter, cheese, and buttermilk, adding variety and extending its shelf life. Fresh butter, especially, was a prized commodity, adding richness and flavor to meals. But milk was more than just sustenance. It was a taste of home, a reminder of a more settled life, offering comfort and familiarity in a challenging new environment. Chickens were another valuable asset for pioneers. Fresh eggs, packed with protein and essential nutrients, were a welcome addition to the diet. They could be boiled, scrambled, or fried, adding variety and nourishment to meals. The ability to gather fresh eggs daily provided a sense of stability and self-sufficiency in an unpredictable world. Of course, keeping livestock on the trail wasn't without its challenges. Cows needed grazing land and water, while chickens needed protection from predators. Pioneers had to be resourceful and attentive to their animals' needs, balancing their care with their own survival. Herbs and foraged greens. Pioneers were skilled foragers, identifying and gathering wild greens like dandelions, lamb's quarters, and purslane. These unassuming plants were nutritional powerhouses, packed with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Dandelion greens, for example, are a rich source of vitamins A, C, and K, as well as calcium and iron. Pioneers would harvest these greens in the spring and early summer, enjoying them fresh in salads or adding them to stews and soups for extra flavor and nutrition. Wild herbs like garlic, clover, and nettles also found their way into the pioneer diet, adding variety and depth to meals. These herbs were used not only for seasoning, but also as traditional remedies for common ailments. Foraging wasn't just about finding food. It was about connecting with nature. Pioneers learned to observe the seasons, understand plant life cycles, and harvest sustainably, ensuring the continued abundance of these valuable resources. This knowledge was passed down through generations, fostering a deep respect for the land and its bounty. Today, foraging is experiencing a revival as people rediscover the joy of connecting with nature and the nutritional benefits of wild plants. Many chefs are incorporating foraged greens into their dishes, celebrating their unique flavors and textures. The legacy of pioneer foraging reminds us of the resourcefulness and adaptability of those who settled the West. They understood the importance of utilizing nature's gifts to enhance their health and well-being, leaving behind a tradition that continues to inspire us today. Perpetual Soup. Let's dive into a fascinating culinary tradition that sustained pioneers and settlers: perpetual soup. Also known as perpetual stew, this ingenious method involved keeping a pot of broth simmering continuously, adding ingredients and flavors as needed. Imagine a large pot bubbling away on a hearth, filled with a rich and ever-evolving broth. This was the heart of many pioneer kitchens, providing a constant source of nourishment and warmth. The concept is simple. Start with leftover meats, bones, and vegetables. Simmer them together to create a flavorful base. And then, as the soup is consumed, add more ingredients to replenish it. This not only minimized waste, but also allowed the flavors to deepen and meld over time, creating a truly unique and complex broth. Pioneers would toss in whatever scraps they had on hand: meat trimmings, vegetable peels, foraged herbs, anything to keep the perpetual soup pot going. The result was a hearty and nutritious meal that could feed a family for days or even weeks, a lifesaver during long journeys or in remote settlements. While the concept is simple, perpetual soup requires careful attention. Maintaining a consistent simmer is crucial to prevent spoilage, and older ingredients need to be removed regularly to ensure the broth's quality. Today, perpetual soup is experiencing a revival as people embrace sustainable cooking practices and seek to reduce food waste. Some communities even hold gatherings where participants contribute ingredients to a communal pot, creating a shared experience around food that echoes the traditions of the past. Perpetual soup is more than just a cooking method. It's a testament to resourcefulness and adaptability. It's a reminder that delicious and nourishing meals can be created from seemingly humble ingredients, and that food can be a source of community and connection. Canned goods. Let's talk about a game changer in the world of pioneer food: canned goods. This revolutionary technology transformed the way folks ate on the frontier, offering a welcome boost to both nutrition and variety. Before canning came along, pioneers relied heavily on preserved meats, dried foods, and whatever they could hunt or forage. But with the advent of canning in the early 1800s, a whole new world of possibilities opened up. The process was simple yet ingenious. Seal food in airtight containers. Heat them up to kill any bacteria or enzymes that cause spoilage, and voila, you've got food that can last for months, even years, without refrigeration. This was a lifesaver for pioneers traveling the Oregon Trail or settling in remote areas where fresh produce was scarce. Canned vegetables like peas, corn, and green beans provided essential vitamins and minerals, while canned meats like beef, chicken, and pork offered a reliable source of protein. Canned fish, such as salmon or sardines, added variety and a healthy dose of omega-3 fatty acids. Suddenly, pioneers could create more balanced and interesting meals by combining canned goods with staples like hardtack or beans. This helped combat nutritional deficiencies and made mealtime a little less monotonous. Canned goods also marked a shift in food culture, paving the way for the modern grocery store and the convenience of stocking your pantry with a wide array of options. Today, we still rely on canned goods for their convenience and versatility. They're a reminder of the ingenuity that transformed the pioneer diet and continue to influence the way we eat today. So, next time you reach for a can of beans or vegetables, take a moment to appreciate the history behind this simple yet revolutionary technology that changed the way pioneers ate and helped shape the culinary landscape we know today. So there you have it, folks. A glimpse into the wild and sometimes wacky world of pioneer food. From resourceful substitutions to dishes that might make you squirm, the Old West was a culinary adventure. Did we miss any of your favorite or least favorite pioneer foods? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, be sure to check out our other videos and share the Who Remembers channel with your friends. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy trails.